Welcome to my channel, The Stoic Way. In the next few seconds, I want you to notice the quiet fear in your chest, the one that says you are invisible to the woman you want, and that fear is lying to you. If you want honest psychology from a woman who studies desire for a living, subscribe to this channel and like this video now, because what I share only works when you commit to hearing it fully. I am speaking to you as a female psychologist, not to flatter you, but to steady you. Desire is not a switch you flip on someone else. It is a response the nervous system gives when it feels safety, mystery, and self-direction at the same time. Most men try to earn desire by proving, chasing, and explaining. That teaches a woman to relax into comfort, not lean into wanting. When you feel ignored, it is not because you lack value. It is because your value is loud, uncontained, and leaking outward. A woman does not desire what is available on demand. She desires what feels chosen, grounded, and slightly beyond reach without being cold. This is not manipulation. This is regulation. When you regulate yourself, her body begins to respond. I have watched this pattern repeat across cultures, ages, and personalities. The men who awaken desire are not louder or prettier. They are calmer under pressure and slower to seek approval. Right now, if she is not interested, your instinct is to do more, text more, explain more, perform more. That instinct is understandable and destructive. Desire grows in the space where your life continues without collapsing around her reaction. When you stop orbiting her attention, you stop asking her nervous system to manage yours. I want you to hear this carefully. You do not make a woman desire you by convincing her mind. You invite desire by demonstrating emotional self-sufficiency, clear boundaries, and forward movement in your own life. Even when she says she is not interested, she is still watching how you handle that truth. Calm acceptance is not weakness. It is erotic to a nervous system trained to look for stability. Stay with me. What comes next will feel uncomfortable, but discomfort is where attraction begins. Listen slowly, breathe deeper, and notice how your posture changes as confidence replaces urgency, because desire responds to grounded presence within you. When a woman says she is not interested, most men hear rejection. What her nervous system is actually saying is, I do not feel pulled forward yet. Desire is movement, not approval. And movement only happens when there is tension between closeness and autonomy. Right now, your biggest obstacle is not her lack of interest. It is your emotional transparency. You reveal everything too quickly, not with words, but with energy. A woman feels desire when she senses that being near you would add something to her life without consuming it. That means your world must already be full, not busy, not chaotic, but directed. Men confuse ambition with anxiety. Ambition is quiet. Anxiety rushes. When you rush, her body tightens. When you slow down, her body starts to listen. I want you to understand something most men never hear. Female desire is reactive, not logical. She does not decide to want you because of your resume, your effort, or your explanations. She wants you because her body feels curious and safe at the same time. Curiosity comes from unpredictability. Safety comes from emotional control. If you want to awaken desire, you must learn to hold both without forcing either. Stop narrating your intentions. Stop oversharing your feelings early. This does not mean you become distant or dishonest. It means you let her experience you instead of analyzing you. Mystery is not silence. Mystery is restraint. It's the ability to pause instead of rushing to define the connection. When you leave space, her mind fills it, and that space is where desire grows. Pay attention to how you respond to small disappointments. Plans change. Replies come late. Her attention drifts. If your mood shifts, if your tone hardens, if you withdraw or overcompensate, her nervous system registers instability. And instability triggers caution, not attraction. Stability is attractive because it allows her to relax into curiosity instead of defense. You don't need to impress her. You need to be impressed with your own standards. When you choose your time, your values, and your direction deliberately, You communicate self-respect without saying a word. A woman may say she isn't interested, but she is always responding to how you treat yourself. Desire doesn't awaken when you chase it. It awakens when you are already moving forward. Right now, pause, breathe, slow your speech, feel your feet on the ground. That calm presence is the foundation. Everything else builds from there. Here's the truth most men avoid. You cannot manufacture attraction. You cannot force her mind or body to respond. But you can create the conditions where desire ignites naturally. And those conditions are entirely within your control. It begins with your energy, how you carry yourself when she's near, and even more when she's not. Most men lose their power in small, invisible ways. The work is noticing them and choosing differently, checking her messages, overanalyzing her tone, bending to her schedule. Every subtle act of urgency signals that your happiness depends on her attention. That is the opposite of desire. Desire thrives when there is a gap, a subtle tension between what is available and what is earned. When you let her perceive that your life is abundant, that your time is precious, and that your emotions are steady, she cannot help but notice. You do not need to be mysterious for manipulation's sake. Mystery is simply self-containment. You feel complete and the edges of your personality are sharp, compelling, and unyielding. A woman senses this immediately, even before she realizes she is attracted. Your conversations, texts, and interactions must reflect this principle. Speak less, but with impact. Act less, but with purpose. Every word you do not need to say is an invisible signal that you are grounded, that you do not chase validation. When she sees a man who is present but untouchable, she begins to invest in the chase emotionally. An emotional investment is what creates real desire, far beyond physical attraction. Here's the next key point. Stop trying to be hero or fixer. Helping, rescuing, or explaining yourself too soon communicates dependency. Instead, focus on being interesting. Grow in your life. Hone skills. Create experiences she cannot get from anyone else. Your world must be rich enough that she feels she wants to step in rather than drag you along. Desire responds to expansion, not contraction. Watch your body language carefully. Confident posture, calm tone, and minimal fidgeting. Tell her without words that you are capable of holding yourself. Women are wired to detect nervous energy instantly. Every micro-expression of uncertainty weakens your signal. You are signaling a stable anchor, a man who can hold space, who does not collapse when she hesitates. And paradoxically, this is the exact space where attraction flourishes. Begin by noticing your inner dialogue. The moment you start obsessing over her reactions, her interest, or her past behavior, you give your power away. Desire is never sparked by obsession. Obsession suffocates. Desire ignites. When your focus is on your own growth, your presence, your mission, she feels it, even if she says she's not interested. That is when the dynamic quietly begins to shift. Now let's talk about tension, the invisible force that transforms simple liking into deep desire. Most men believe attraction comes from attention, compliments, or favors. That's the beginner's trap. Real desire is created through subtle push and pull, emotional spacing, and strategic absence. When she senses that your attention is not guaranteed, her mind and body begin to move towards you. This isn't cruelty, it's magnetism. It's the physics of attraction. People lean toward what feels slightly out of reach. Think about the last person who truly captivated you. Was it someone always available, always agreeable? Or was it someone whose presence carried weight, someone whose absence left a question mark in your mind? Women respond to the same principle. For her to lean in emotionally, she must invest her imagination, her curiosity, her desire. That cannot happen if you orbit her life like a satellite, searching for approval. Absence is a tool, not a punishment. It communicates self-reliance, self-respect, and emotional containment. When you pull back calmly, without drama, without explanation, you create a gap, and that gap gives her mind room to notice what she's been overlooking: your confidence, your stability, your grounded presence. The more controlled your withdrawal, the stronger the attraction becomes because she is responding to what she cannot control: your composure, your independence, your life beyond her influence. At the same time, curiosity fuels desire. Do not reveal yourself all at once. Share selectively. Let her fill in the blanks. When she senses depth, individuality, and a touch of unpredictability, her subconscious begins searching for answers. Desire is an unconscious response to a man who is compelling without effort. The harder you try, the weaker the effect. Your emotions are the canvas: calm, contained, confident. Everything else follows. These are the brushstrokes that paint. Intrigue. If you react with anxiety or urgency, you blur the lines. But if you respond deliberately with grounded confidence, you craft an aura that draws her in without words. Desire is not logical, it's visceral, and your energy is the trigger. Finally, notice the paradox. Women are not drawn to men who prove themselves through effort or explanation. They are drawn to men who prove themselves through presence, consistency, and selective engagement. She may say she is not interested, but her body does not lie. Every glance, every micro-expression, every subtle shift in attention is her unconscious measuring your stability, your allure, and your worth. Learn to read it, and you control the environment where desire ignites. Now, let's confront a truth that most men avoid. Desire is often silent before it erupts. A woman may act disinterested, distant, or even annoyed, but that does not mean the spark is gone. Desire is a slow burn, not an immediate reaction. It is her nervous system noticing patterns, energy, and boundaries long before her conscious mind admits it. Your job is not to rush her mind to agreement. Your job is to be the steady current she cannot ignore. Think of desire like gravity. You cannot push it into existence, but you can position yourself so that she falls into it naturally. That positioning comes from self-containment. When your life is moving forward with purpose, when you hold your emotions steady under uncertainty, when you show that your happiness is not contingent on her responses, her body cannot help but notice. She may fight it with words, but desire bypasses logic. It is not a transaction. It is chemistry, energy, and timing. Stop giving into the trap of explaining yourself. Stop asking for permission to exist in her world. Stop overanalyzing her reactions. Each moment you resist these urges, you build a magnetic field. It grows silently, invisibly, and irresistibly. She may initially dismiss it, but her body does not. Women respond to presence, not persuasion. Every micro movement of calm, confident energy is registering in her mind before she realizes it. You also need to understand emotional calibration. If you are reactive, desperate, or easily swayed by her moods, you signal instability that destroys attraction faster than anything else. If you maintain equilibrium, if you can hold space while she tests, teases, or withdraws, you signal power, control, and value. That is the core of making her desire you, even when she claims disinterest. There is another layer few men recognize: unpredictability, not chaos, not manipulation, but a subtle, authentic unpredictability. Your life is dynamic. You are interesting. You show glimpses of depth, passion, and purpose without over-explaining. Curiosity is an emotional drug. Her mind will start filling in the blanks, imagining possibilities, and that mental engagement becomes emotional investment. Desire is born here. Finally, always anchor yourself in your self-worth. When you act from scarcity, needing her attention to feel validated, you extinguish desire. When you act from abundance, knowing your value, regardless of her actions, you ignite it. Desire does not come from chasing. It comes from moving forward in your life while she notices, while she wonders, and while she unconsciously leans closer to the energy you emanate. This is where attraction begins to feel unstoppable. Now let's address a mistake almost every man makes: confusing kindness with weakness. Compliments favors constant attention. They do not generate desire. They generate familiarity, which is not the same as attraction. True desire thrives on respect, challenge, and emotional tension. When you constantly validate her, You shrink yourself in her eyes. Women are wired to respond to men who hold standards, not to men who collapse for approval. You must understand the psychology of challenge, not verbal challenge, not confrontation, but emotional and psychological challenge. This is the tension that creates intrigue when you do not bend to her whims. When you maintain your routine, your mood, and your boundaries, regardless of her responses, she experiences a subtle magnetic pull toward you. Her mind notices independence. Her body responds to grounded energy, and her nervous system begins to register desire. Timing is everything. Don't overexpose yourself. Don't let every interaction become predictable. When you are selective about your time, she starts valuing your presence more. Absence is not about ignoring her. It's about signaling that your life is full, your priorities are defined, and your attention is precious. This selective engagement triggers the most powerful component of desire, emotional investment. She must work to access you, and that effort alone activates attraction. Body language is another silent but crucial factor. Confidence is not loud or aggressive. It is subtle. Shoulders relaxed, eyes steady, movements deliberate. Every micro-expression communicates that you are grounded, controlled, and self-reliant. Women are wired to notice these cues instantly, even before she realizes it. Her mind begins interpreting your presence as a source of stability and intrigue, a combination that is irresistible. Emotional self-control is the most powerful tool in your arsenal. Your ability to remain calm when she withdraws, teases, or challenges you signals high value. Desire does not thrive in chaos. It thrives in controlled tension, the kind that keeps her guessing while feeling safe to lean in. When you master this, even disinterest begins to shift. Her body begins responding before her mind catches up. Finally, understand that making her desire you is about energy, not effort. Your words are secondary. Your appearance is secondary. Your actions must reflect emotional autonomy, direction, and a life that does not revolve around her approval. This combination, calm, challenge, self-containment, creates a gravitational pull she cannot resist, no matter what she consciously claims. Master this, and you move from chasing desire to naturally attracting it. Here is the final truth that most men never hear. Desire is not about changing her mind, it's about changing yourself. You cannot control her feelings, but you can control the energy you carry, the boundaries you set, and the life you lead. When you commit to your growth, your standards, and your emotional independence, you become magnetic. Women may resist at first, but energy does not lie. Her nervous system notices before her mind does, and that is where true desire begins. Stop trying to win approval or force attention. Those behaviors shrink you. Desire grows in proportion to the confidence, calm, and self-direction you exhibit. A woman can feel whether a man is desperate or grounded, whether he is reactive or composed, whether he depends on her validation or stands firm in his own world. She responds unconsciously to these signals long before she even recognizes attraction. The most effective men I have observed do not chase or explain themselves. They move forward with purpose, letting their lives speak louder than words. They show interest subtly, invest selectively, and withdraw gracefully when necessary. This creates a dynamic where she cannot predict the next move, and unpredictability combined with stability is irresistible. Desire emerges not from effort, but from the careful orchestration of presence, timing, and emotional containment. Every interaction, every glance, every pause becomes a silent signal. Her body and mind start connecting the dots. This man is grounded, confident, and rare. Her curiosity grows. Her imagination begins filling in the blanks, and her desire builds organically. The key is patience. Resist the urge to accelerate her attraction with constant engagement. The strongest pull comes from being fully yourself consistently without bending to her moods or testing her interest. Understand that rejection is often misinterpreted. If she claims disinterest, it is rarely permanent. It is a signal of her nervous system evaluating whether you are safe, stable, and worthy of emotional investment. Your response, calm, composed, and self-contained determines whether desire takes root. Every micro-expression of control, confidence, and direction is registering in ways she cannot consciously articulate. Finally, anchor yourself in abundance. Your desire for her is irrelevant compared to the life you are building. When you lead with purpose, passion, and emotional independence, she is drawn into your orbit naturally. This is not trickery. This is authentic magnetic energy. You do not make her desire you with effort. You become a man whose presence she cannot ignore. Desire follows mastery, not begging, not chasing, and certainly not explaining. If you internalize this, you no longer chase. You create the environment where desire chooses you, even when she initially claims she is not interested. Your confidence becomes her unconscious compass, and attraction becomes inevitable. The power has always been inside you. You simply needed to learn how to wield. Thanks for watching. If you found like this video, please press the bell icon and subscribe to my channel, The Stoic Way. Thank you.